Bean beetles are becoming popular as a very low-maintenance feeder insect. Their small size makes them suitable as a food item for many small fish, reptiles, amphibians, and invertebrate pets. Supplies. You will need an escape-proof, well-ventilated container. These beetles can climb smooth glass and plastic, so a tight-fitting lid is necessary to avoid escapes. A 32-ounce deli cup with a lid used for fruit flies is suitably escape-proof when properly closed. Dry black-eyed peas, a piece of crumpled paper or similar as a resting surface and collection aid. A starter culture, which may consist of beetles, black-eyed peas with eggs on them, black-eyed peas with larvae inside them, or all of the above. Setup. Add a thin layer of beans to the container. Add the crumpled paper and your starter culture. Secure the lid. Life cycle. The beetles will soon begin to lay eggs on the surface of the new beans. Upon hatching, the larvae burrow into the bean. Within the bean, they create a chamber with nothing but a thin layer of the outer bean separating them from the outside world. They pupate inside the bean, then emerge from it as adult beetles, leaving round holes in the bean. The speed of the beetle's reproduction is somewhat dependent on temperature. At room temperatures, the eggs will develop into adults in about 6 weeks to 2 months. Maintenance. Bean beetles require very little maintenance, since the larvae live and feed within the beans, and the adults do not require food or water during their short lifespans. When adult beetles start to emerge from a culture in large numbers, take about 50 beetles and possibly a few beans from the older culture and start a new one. Each bean can support several larvae, so a culture may yield several generations of beans before it needs to be discarded. To dispose of the culture properly, freeze it for 24 hours and then place it in the trash. Harvesting. A number of beetles will congregate on the piece of crumpled paper or your resting surface of choice. First, shake the container to dislodge the beetles from the sides of the container to prevent their escape. Then remove the paper and shake it or brush it off into a suitable collecting container. If you are feeding the beetles to reptiles or amphibians, they can be dusted with appropriate calcium and/or vitamin powder. Note that even when dusted, the beetles will still be capable of climbing plastic or glass. Do not allow them to escape. Dusting is not necessary when feeding to fish or invertebrates. The beetles float on the surface of the water when fed to fish. Tips. Bean beetles can only reproduce with access to black-eyed peas, adzuki beans, or mung beans. But in areas with mild winters, they are considered pests of these bean species. Before culturing these beetles, check your local laws, as they may not be legal in your area. If you find that your culture produces more than you can use, the beetles should still be harvested and disposed of responsibly to prevent overpopulation and crashing.